When I was at West Point, we did a financial literacy course to where we made a Roth IRA calculator. I absolutely loved it. When I was first learning compounding interest, my mind was absolutely blown. I remember doing different calculations and looking at that being like, wow, this could be my future. If I put away this amount of money, these are the types of outcomes that I could come to later on. And I was blown away. I'm kind of like a math analytical person. I was a systems engineer over at the academy. And I remember learning about this, and it was so cool. But this is what I wish West Point would have taught me. When I was playing with these compounding interest calculators, I applied it to my strategy once I was in the military and graduated the academy, and I maxed my different government accounts. So I maxed my TSP, Roth IRA, and then I put some extra money towards my brokerage accounts. And any excess capital, I was using bonds and a high yield savings account. So that was all great and everything, and that compounding interest was awesome. And I wrote a lot of different ways throughout the market that millennials have experienced. But I wish West Point would have taught me this. I wish I would have learned the concept of leverage earlier. Because with leverage comes opportunity cost. You can use other people's money to go buy assets instead of using your own capital. Now, there are several different ways to apply leverage. You could take money from hypothetically anywhere and use it to go buy your asset. But some things that you want to keep in mind is your cost of capital, that interest that you pay on your debt, you typically want that to be less than the actual asset. You don't want to borrow money at 10% and then go buy an investment at 2%. Makes no sense, right? And also what I found is when you're applying leverage, you really don't want that asset. You don't really don't want that asset to be subject to change. Case in point. So if I leverage from my 401k and something happens in current events in my real estate or my market portfolio crashes, that can end myself in some pretty tough waters very quickly. So what I've done personally is that I use hold life policies as an asset to apply leverage and go buy other assets. I access the equity inside my policy, aka cash value, and I use that to go buy real estate. But here's the kicker. When I apply leverage from the policy, my money still remains intact. I'm still gaining interest on dividends tax-free, and it's uninterrupted. So if I take out, let's say I had $200,000 inside of a policy and I take out 50K, I'm still gaining interest in dividends tax-free at 200K. That remains intact and continues to grow tax-free. Then I could use that 50K via a line of credits to go buy that asset. And another thing, that debt is both cheap and flexible. So the rates are typically going to be about 1% to 2% less than what the market is. So comparing this to private money, hard money, you're probably going to be paying somewhere between 10 and 15%. All my loans personally are around 5 to 6%. And on top of that, this debt is flexible. So there is no payment structure and there is no late fees. And that is because you are going to die. And when you die, your policy is going to, the total death benefit passed on is going to be the death benefit minus outstanding leverage. So God forbid if I died and I had $100 million of death benefit and $50 million out in outstanding loans, $50 million still gets passed on both tax-free and probate-free. So that is why life insurance companies don't really care if you pay them back on time because they know you're going to die. You can apply that concept to your benefit because real estate owners and business owners, well, sometimes we have good years, sometimes we have bad years, and you can let that interest rate ride if you really wanted to. Now, it's advised to pay that back because that interest does compound, but you have flexibility, you have optionality, which is very beneficial from a business point of view.